Binge the full week ad-free over at patreon.com/inspireddisorder.
What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
Small Axe Red, White, and Blue is the newest newest film in the Small Axe series that I'm talking about. The part 3 of a 5-part series created by, directed by Steve McQueen. This is a series where he's focusing on specific stories from kind of the UK's dealing with social inequalities, police brutality, institutionalized racism, which has been a good series so far. Mangrove was amazing. Lover's Rock was almost a nice kind of palate cleanser of a film. And then Red, White, and Blue stars John Boyega as a promising scientist who decides to take the path of becoming a police officer to try and change the system from within. I'm not sure exactly what year this takes place. I want to say 80s, somewhere in the 80s. At least that's what it felt like. John Boyega being kind of the second generation of people that have come from God, where was it from? I can't remember anyway. So he has, like everybody else who's second generation, they don't have the accent of their parents anymore. They've grown up in their area, so it's a different dynamic, and he feels he's very successful, very smart, his character, and feels like he wants to be a cop and change the police from the inside. And for me, it seemed like this movie was very predictable, obviously. I mean, just knowing the themes of what Steve McQueen has been talking about in these films, but also just kind of knowing what it's like. I mean, even present day, it's very difficult for anybody to change the police from within. Generally, the system of the police will grind up anybody and spit them out. And that's kind of what this movie shows. I mean, he gave up a career there was a scene where he's talking to new students, I would imagine, as a scientist. And he was talking about testing the effects of chemotherapy treatment on cancer. So he went from almost dealing with one type of cancer to trying to deal with another type of cancer. And he gets in the police department, and you see how the community turns their back on him. But then you also see how the institution of the police turn their back on him as well. You see that he's, doesn't get promoted despite being, obviously highly educated. You see when he does try to stop crime that the other police officers aren't there to back him up. Of course, they're leaving, racist things written on his locker, and it's just kind of it's really kind of all of the things you would expect a racist group of dudes to do to another dude who is a minority. And they want it to seem like they're open to letting other people of other races into the institution of the police department, right? Like they'll let you in, but once you're in, they're just gonna grind you down until you quit, right? Or they'll transfer you out, or they'll do whatever they can. So they have this appearance of being open and welcome, but once you're in there, you are treated like it's clear that it's all of them against you. Great performance by John Boyega, I thought. I mean, it's just a very simple film. Part of it is you see his dad getting assaulted by 2 police officers for no reason. and then him wanting to have his day in court. But then, charges get dropped because, the police know, they're going to have to settle out of court because they know they don't have they didn't have any reason to be beating him up. So they end up having to settle out of court, which happens today. I mean, you look at all these police departments that are running over people. I saw a clip online today of up in Washington State of a police in their SUV running over a group of protesters, just like backing up and then plowing through them, and a few people got run over, and that's happening in 2021, right? So this is 40 years ago potentially, in the UK, and nothing really has changed. I mean, there's definitely more people of color in the police office, in the boys in blue, but nothing happens. They pay off. I mean, people that sue the police department, there's a huge part of their budget goes to paying off all of the things that the police officers do, whether it be committing murder or maiming people, running them over with their cop cars, breaking into their homes. I mean, there's a lot of things that the police do that's a very damaging to society, and that just hasn't really changed. They've just gotten different tools over the years. Um, but it's a good movie. There's this moment, like there's when after the dad finds out that he's not going to get his day in court, he's not going to be able to look those police officers in the eye, and be able to state his case. There's just kind of this silence that he has. He like goes away into this bathroom and just staring at himself silently, just stone faced into the mirror. And you see John Boyega's character go in there. Leroy Logan, who's the true story this is based on. So you see him go in and like he sees that his dad's in like kind of zoned out and leaves. And then at the end of the movie, after one of his uh, other police officer guys, one of his I don't know coworkers gets employed. I don't know if he was fired or transferred, but he was like a Pakistani guy, I believe Pakistani, but another person of color, another minority, the only other minority in that department, from what it seemed like. He gets sent away because I would imagine he tried to help John Boyega's character, and then John Boyega's character has that same kind of realization where it's just this very silent moment. And the camera work in this, there's two super long scenes where he's tracking down a criminal through these warehouses. And it almost looks like one continuous shot, but it's just like it's one super long shot in the first warehouse, and then it's a super long shot in the next warehouse. Just beautiful, beautiful shot, beautiful. But there's a scene where it's in the locker room, and you can tell that he's finally coming to the realization of like how little his efforts have in trying to change things within. And it's this shot where on the edge of the screen, it's him basically facing, the frame of the scene, and then behind him, it's like this blurred view of the lockers, and it really feels like he's at the shot makes it look like he's at his head is the front of a ship that's kind of plowing through, trying to set a new course in changing things, but it's just he's really seeing how hopeless it all is. And then he goes and has this conversation at the very end of the movie, which I think is a good way to wrap it up, because the movie it ends kind of hopeless and depressing. I mean, just knowing where we are today 40 years later, and to see how little things have changed in law enforcement, not only in the UK but in the US. It's just like it's just like there's this conversation he has with his dad, which is amazing. His dad tells this story about was like his mom or his grandma, who's like, if I see you digging graves at a graveyard and you're doing it because you don't have any other options in your life because you're uneducated, then I feel sorry for you. I feel bad for you. But if you're somebody who's educated, if you're in that same graveyard digging graves, but you have an education and you're doing it because you chose to dig graves, then I have to support you, right? Because it's what you had a choice, and this is what you choose to do, and I have to support your choices to live your life. But at least you have the options to do other things, which John Boyega's character has the options. He was studying cancer treatments prior to going into the police department. So it's like he clearly he made a choice to do this job where he's getting beat up, he's getting no support from his peers. He's the only one trying to change things. So his dad can't feel bad for him. He has to support him. But he also knows there's this other thing that he says where he says big change is a slow turning wheel. And it's so true. And it's very much like turning a big ship, which, you know, the imagery of that locker room scene kind of referenced, I believe. Where it's just like you can't if you're in a big ship, you can't change your course immediately. It takes a while for a ship to change course. But even the smallest change in course that a ship can make in time will lead you far away from where you would have been if you stayed on that course. So I love that kind of scene. It almost reminded me of No Country for Old Men, how that movie ends with a conversation kind of talking about how things have changed. And this one is talking about how difficult things are to change. But he's proud of his son for trying to be part of that change, for trying to be part in moving that slow turning wheel. So it's beautiful. I'm super excited. There's 2 more parts of the Small Axe series that I'm looking forward to. But despite this one kind of being depressing, it has some amazing visuals, great acting. And I highly recommend checking it out. Small Axe, Red, White, and Blue, which you can watch now on Amazon Prime. Get yourself some amazing coffee and support our sponsor, stationhousecoffee.com, and follow Station House Coffee on Instagram. Go order yourself some small batch, single origin, premium coffee brewed in Thetford Center, Vermont, and shipped directly to you. Make sure you let them know that the Ray Taylor Show sent you when you go to stationhousecoffee.com and order yourself some coffee, or hit up Station House Coffee on Instagram and order some coffee there. Do everything you can to get some coffee, some amazing, delicious, small batch, small business. Support small businesses. Do it. stationhousecoffee.com and follow Station House Coffee on Instagram. New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on IGTV, YouTube, and everywhere else podcasts are found. Binge the full week ad-free over at patreon.com/Inspired Disorder. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at inspireddisorder.com, and follow the show on Instagram at Ray Taylor Show. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!